Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show, a reaction to the Saturday and Sunday games of Wild Card Weekend. Of course, we still have Monday Night Football, Texans and Steelers later tonight. Jack is at that game, so hopefully we can have some content come out from the game. The atmosphere, I'm sure Acrisure Stadium will be electric. Rodgers, maybe his final game. That unbelievably talented Texans defense. I know I picked the Steelers to win in the prediction show, but that was a little bit pandering to Jack and helping Jack feel good. I'm not sure I can see the Steelers offense scoring enough with the Texans defense and the way they've played this season. As I've said so many times, the unit I trust the most out of all the AFC units, the Houston defense, that they're going to show up. So should be a fun one tonight. If it's anything like most of the games we got this weekend, right? 4 of the 5 of them come down to the wire. The lead changes in the fourth quarter. The drama was, all-time high. And that's part of what's going to be so fun about the majority of these NFL playoffs when we're talking about teams that are so evenly matched, right? There's no team that really jumped out and stood above the pack this year. Obviously, record-wise, the Patriots, the Broncos, Seattle, the NFC West teams are great. But I don't think anyone feels like there's a clear team to beat, perhaps in the entire field. Everyone's beatable this year. And we've seen the crazy upsets. We're going to get into all the games. Rams-Panthers was one where I thought the Panthers had won. What a perfect summary of this year it would have been for them to upset LA. A Super Bowl pick for so many people. A Super Bowl pick for myself, right? We're just going to have, it's just been awesome so far. I'm going to have cover each game briefly. Some games more than others, right? I'm going to lead with the Packers and the Bears. If you want to find a particular game, there will be chapters in the video, so you don't have to listen. If you don't want to hear the Packers-Bears portion, because I'll probably extend that one, given our audience and given our NFC North focus, you could skip ahead. Going to hit all the games, right? Eagles-49ers was awesome. Bills-Jaguars lived up to the hype as well. That was a really fun game. So all of them will be in this video. You can bounce around however you want based on the chapters. Now, for me, as a Viking fan, right, it was a pretty easy weekend. Not much stress. Last year, we go to LA, or not LA, I think we play in Arizona, right, because of the fires. Get our ass kicked in LA. Depressing end to a great season. Our videos do unbelievable the final 2 weeks because I'm sad as a Viking fan. When you're not playing, there's less stress, but I mean, it's just so much less fun. I've seen all the TikToks and Instagram reels coming out about the guys saying, hey, when your team's not in the playoffs and you just get to kick your feet up, have some wings and beer and watch the games. And it's great, especially when you have games like you had this weekend. But man, like I miss this year between Notre Dame and the Vikings. There's nothing like a big time football game. In all sports, I've been to big basketball games before. I've been to big hockey games before. A lot of fun, but nothing beats the thrill, especially in person. It's an all-day event. I mean, it's all-encompassing when your team has a big game. NBA Finals, right? Like last year, big Knicks fan. They go to the conference finals, and those are fun days. Those are fun days, and you're waiting. When you have a big-time football game, it just hits different. And I've missed that this year. I haven't really had that since September. There hasn't been a big game for my teams. And I hope for the people who are still in, enjoy it, because you only get a handful of those really big time games every year. And this is the part of the year now. Divisional weekend next week, one of the best weekends in all of football. The NFL playoffs they're just awesome. Like the big thing for me this weekend was that the Godzilla -0 poster came out. And Hedorah is going to be the villain in Godzilla -0. If there's any Godzilla fans in the comment section, let me know. We can offline about it. I've decided to really commit my fandom to Godzilla and up my game now that my teams are out. So like that was the big news for me. But here we are now. I also want to mention, because a couple people brought this up in our reaction to Packers Bears, just how we cover these NFC North teams. Because yes, as you can see, right, the blanket behind me, the helmet right here, I'm a big Vikings fan. I root for the Vikings. We have a massive Packers audience, and we have, I'd say in some sense, a blossoming Bears audience and a growing Lions base as well. We're trying to focus, our goal as a channel is to try and focus on the NFC North and grow from there, right? Start with the Packers, which we were very fortunate to have, hit the NFC North, and then we move on to maybe the NFC, go to the larger league from there, college football, trying to find ways to grow. A lot of people seem to get upset saying, man, these fake ass Vikings fans who talk positively about Green Bay, you're pandering to your Packers audience. What we're trying to do with our reactions is just give honest commentary. Like, I mean, do I like watching the Packers lose in horrific ways? Yes. Caught me red-handed. I enjoy it. I derive great enjoyment from misery of the Packers and the Saints and the Bears, like all to varying degrees. Because again, I have friends who root for these teams, and I've turned a chapter in my life where I'm not someone who relishes my friend's misery as much as I did when I was a kid. Like I loved when the Steelers got their ass beat in crushing fashion when we were a kid. I almost loved it as much as the Vikings having a big win, because I'd go into school, see Jack just miserable at the lunch table, and I was ready to take the gloves off and just beat him down with it. That's what we all did to each other. It was awesome. And as a Viking fan, usually I wound up getting beat down a little bit more. Fortunately, I had Dolphins and Jets fans as friends. Only had a handful of Giants and only a handful of years where that was really relevant. But Jack, Jack was punching down most of the time. Let's just say that at the lunch table as a Steeler fan. I've kind of moved on from that, but I still get great joy in seeing my rivals lose in crushing fashion. But when we come on these shows, we owe it to our audience, I think, and we're also not idiots, right? If I came on here and just started cheering that the Packers lost and making fun of the Packers and sounding like, just sounding like an idiot pretty much and making fun of everyone, no one would listen to the show. So we're trying our best to just give our honest opinions and actually analyze the games. We'll throw in our jabs here and there, but that's how it's going to work. That's what it's going to be like. We're going to give honest take, and if a team pisses me off, maybe I'll come on here one day and I'll really, like when we went to the Packer game and we were just getting harassed by all the Packers fans about someone was just screaming, "Thank you, Jerry," as JJ was sacked for the 9th time. Yeah, if the Vikings won that game, I might have come on with a little bit more fire. That's just not how the show is going to work for right now. With that said, right, LaFleur, it looks like he's going to be extended. That news just broke recently from Schefter. Very surprising not totally surprising to me, but I will say right after the game, when you saw the reaction of the Packer fan base, it was not good. I came on our show and I defended LaFleur to a degree. Ziggy said he should be gone. I know Andy on his show sort of defended LaFleur. He really said today's not the day that I'm going to be the one to defend Matt if you come in and call for his job. The more I thought about it and the more I saw the reactions coming out, the less likely I thought it was that Matt LaFleur would be back. And I am a little surprised that it looks like he'll be returning. We'll get to that towards the end of Packers and Bears. And we're going to hit all the games again. There were 2 teams that were embarrassed this weekend. Completely humiliated. The Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll start with the Packers and the Bears game. But if you had told Packers fans coming into that game that Jordan Love's going to finish with 323 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, the Bears are going to run for 93 yards, no touchdowns on the ground. I'm sorry, I think they had touchdowns, no turnovers forced by the defense. Any Packers fan, really any NFL analyst would say the Bears got their ass kicked. And that's kind of what happened, right? In the first half, Bears got their ass kicked. And you have a 21-3 game. McManus is lining up for the 55-yarder to make it 24-3 going into halftime. He makes it. Johnson calls the timeout. From then on, pretty much everything went as poorly as it could for the Packers. McManus misses. You go into halftime at 21-3. And everyone in the world knew, right? Because you're up 18. Everyone was feeling great, all the Packers fans. Andy's texting me, God, I'm loving this. I'm getting texts from all my friends who are Packers fans saying this is the best day ever. We're beating the hell out of the Bears to get revenge for what they did a few weeks ago. But everyone in the world knew what this Chicago Bears team has done all season. Epic comebacks. Never quit. Big plays when it matters. They just have this tenacity and relentlessness about themselves that's been there all season long. And you got to give credit where credit's due. That is a key trait to this Bears team, that they don't stop, even at 21-3. And I looked over at my dad and my uncle who I was watching the game with, and I said to them, this has to actually work in Green Bay's advantage, what happened to them a few weeks ago. Because they're in that locker room, and they were dominating that game in Chicago a few weeks ago on Saturday night. And the Bears had the epic comeback, right? The muffed punt. And I thought that could work to Green Bay's advantage, where you just lock in a little extra bit, right? It's the playoffs. Of course, to win NFL playoff games, you need laser focus. You need everybody 100% dedicated to winning and on their game. Because this is the best of the best, right? Regular season, if you're playing the Titans, as long as you're not the Arizona Cardinals fumbling through the end zone and, allowing remarkable fumble-rooski plays to happen, you can sleepwalk and beat the Tennessee Titans. You can sleepwalk, and this year, up until we were eliminated, you could beat the Vikings, right? There are a handful of teams you can do that against. You don't get that break in the playoffs. In the playoffs, you need to be on. And you need to especially be on against a team that has 6 or 7 now game-winning drives. Like, they set the record this year. Micah Parsons tweeting from a suite up in Soldier Field, hey, we need to make sure we put our foot on the gas here and finish off Chicago. They've done this all year. Everybody knew it. And somehow the Packers come out in the second half and just get dog-walked. I mean, 4 straight punts. 3 of them are 3-and-outs. They think they had 9 total yards on their first 4 drives of the second half. And even with that, right, it's 21-9 after those 4 drives. The Packer defense did a great job of bend, don't break, a couple big-time 4th down stops, but it felt like a balloon just swelling up, the Green Bay defense. And we knew that this was a vulnerability of this team this year, is that their defense without Micah, they were a weakness. But they got all these stops, and you just see back on the field, allowing big drives. Balloon gets bigger, 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 and finally in the fourth quarter, it just erupted. And they couldn't stop the Bears to save their lives. They were not, like, if that game continued on forever, the Packers would not have gotten another stop. Big play after big play, quickly too. It wasn't just that they were allowing the Bears to go down the field and score touchdowns. It was 3 straight touchdown drives, 7 plays, 66 yards, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. 10 plays, 76 yards, 2 minutes, 18 seconds. How often do you see 2-minute, 10 drive plays or 10 play drives? 6 plays, 66 yards, 1:08. That was the drive to take the lead. They just broke down, and they are to blame in some sense, but it's also, how long can you expect them to hold up on the field, right? I mean, they gave up 25 points in the fourth quarter. It was horrendous. And in the final 6 minutes and 30 seconds of the game, you really saw a culmination of the Packers season and a culmination of what has pretty much plagued this team for a decade now, right? Poor decision-making, special teams failures, and unfortunately for them this year, injuries, right? Those 3 things all reared their head in the final 6.5 minutes of this game because Matthew Golden scored a touchdown, an unbelievable first touchdown for Matthew Golden to put Green Bay up 27-16. Actually, like a really unbelievable play. Jack was here for that portion of the game, and Jack was interviewing Golden during the draft process, and like he likes the dude. And he was pumped up. I mean, it was an electric play. But after that, it's 27-16, 6.5 left. You think the game is over. And again, against the Bears, you just can't. You have to be ready to go. McManus misses the extra point. Ensuing drive, Bears go 10 plays, 76 yards, 2 minutes, right? They get the 2-point conversion as well. And on the next Packer drive, you see they have a 3rd and 10 from the Chicago 21-yard line, 27-24, okay? Game on the line. LaFleur takes a timeout. Timeouts matter, man. Like, you better have a play that you really want to switch to, or that something was going to go horribly wrong if you're going to burn one of those timeouts. And coming out of it, you have a delay of game. Can't happen. It just cannot happen. Can't take the timeout. And if you do, there's no acceptable world where you have a delay of game. It felt like the Vikings having the 12 men in the huddle against the Saints in the 2009 NFC Championship game out of a timeout, which pushed us out of field goal range. I don't have to get into that. We all know. Delay of game. They miss another field goal, right? Which is 5 yards further from the delay of game. Next drive, Bears get the football back, start going down the field, 46-yard line. Green Bay calls another timeout on 1st and 10 because their defense isn't ready. Again, timeouts matter. It's a 3-point game. You may need that timeout, LaFleur. You might need it. And ultimately, you see it wind up costing them on that final drive where Jaden Reed has a huge drop. He makes up for it with a completion to the 23-yard line, and Sean Ryan's down with 32 seconds left in the game. 10-second runoff. They have no timeouts to save clock. With 22 seconds left, another false start, a play later, and all of a sudden, Packers have 2 shots to the end zone from the 35-yard line, and their season's over. And yet you can't look at that whole scenario in the final 6:30, how it unfolded, and not say LaFleur didn't botch his game management there. It was just horrendous. And even earlier in the game, Carrington Valentine making the interception in the first half, giving up 30 yards, right? It's 4th down for Chicago. He picks it off at the 10-yard line, gets tackled. You would have had the ball in the 40. Things like that build up in these games. I know the Packers scored on that drive, but it's just a broader example of the deficiencies that this team had and not being prepared and ready for big moments. And again, I'm not upset by any of this. I might sound like it, but I'm not upset from this. I'm just telling you how it is. That can't happen if you're a Packers fan. You look at the whole situation there. The Sean Ryan injury cost them. Injuries have cost them all year. You have the clock mismanagement from LaFleur, the bad timeouts, the defense collapsing, right? Not being ready to go on the field. And then you have 2 huge misses from Brandon McManus, who I would be really surprised if he's back because he just cost you the game and wasn't that good this year. So it was a combination of those things. And you can't fault LaFleur for the injuries, but you can fault him for the other things. Rich Bisaccia and that special teams have been a problem in Green Bay for a long time. I mean, I'm not a Packer fan, so I can't go. I don't have the depth of knowledge that you guys have on your team. But I can think off the top of my head, you had the block punt against San Francisco. Anders Carlson missed the kick in the NFC divisional round a few years ago. Obviously, you had the muff punt in Chicago just recently this year, and then 3 misses, right, in this game. Of course, there was the pre-LaFleur Bostic play, that onside kick. And there's nothing has changed there with Bisaccia. And they're not making decisions to fix their mistakes. It'll be laughable if Richard Bisaccia is back. And I don't like calling for people's jobs or anything. I guess I am kind of doing it. But, Andy Herman said it best. If there was a blueprint for how Matt LaFleur could get fired when they were beating the Broncos at the start of the 3rd quarter in Denver, it would be the exact way it played out here. You go 0-4 to end the regular season, and you blow a 21-3 lead against the Bears in the wild card round of the playoffs. And all the ways that it happened. This was the blueprint. Now, it doesn't seem like LaFleur is going to get fired. If anything, right now, as Schefter tweeted out, it looks like the Packers in policy are looking to extend him. I think that's going to piss off a lot of Packer fans. I mean, they were red hot after the game. And I said to everyone, my mom and dad teach me a lot of good lessons. My mom says the joy is in the journey. My dad has said, don't burn bridges, which, when you think about a couple of these things, it's hard to do in the moment, right? You get pissed off at work, which everyone does. You get pissed off with a friend. You just want to blow it all up. I totally get it. Another lesson that I've been taught is give everything 24 hours. And I think this can kind of apply to the don't burn bridges. 24-hour rule, right? You're red hot, tempers are flaring. Give yourself a little bit of time and reassess everything with a clear head. I know that I'm certainly someone, I give off a calm demeanor a lot, but when I get heated in a moment, which doesn't happen very often, even if it's excited, right? I mean, after the Vikings have a big win, I'm more likely to send out a crazy text message to someone than if I'm hammered. Emotions get to me. Settle down, 24 hours, and think everything through. And I talked to a handful of Packers fans 24 hours later, and they were livid. They were still, get this guy out of here. Everyone agrees LaFleur is a good coach, but at some point, sometimes you just need a change of scenery, right? The Ravens did that with John Harbaugh after 18 years. Sometimes you just want to bring someone else in because what's insanity? It's doing the same thing over and expecting a different outcome. And that's sort of what it feels like with the Packers right now. It looks like they're going to bring the LaFleur back. Big difference between the way Lamar Jackson handled the John Harbaugh firing and Jordan Love versus Micah Parsons with LaFleur, they asked Lamar Jackson, would you bring back John next year? Do you want to see John Harbaugh as your coach? And Lamar says in the post-game interview after the Steelers game, I can't even think about that right now. We just lost this game. It's not time. It's not time to think about that. Yes, Jordan Love, he goes, of course I want Matt back. Micah Parsons just came out and said, he called Matt LaFleur and said, I know there's a lot going on right now. I just want to let you know you're a big reason that I came here. I love you, man. I want to see you back. These guys like Matt LaFleur. I mean, it sounds like they love Matt LaFleur. And if that's the case, I think there's a reasonable route for bringing him back, right? They've been very successful. He has one of the best records in the history of football through your first 7 years. But something has to change because the Packers, I don't blame Packers fans if they're going to revolt here. It's not just the injuries. It's the way they're losing these games. You're up 21-3. When you're up 21-3, forget about Micah Parsons being hurt. Forget about Tucker Kraft being hurt. Forget about Zach Tom being hurt. Forget about Devontae Wyatt being hurt. You're up 21-3. You've kicked ass for a whole half. Can't collapse the way you did. Just can't happen. And now they're extending them. So there's good and bad to this for Packers fans. The good, guys want him back. You've been successful. The bad is, if things don't change again, you can't say you're shocked. You just can't. So I'm sure Bisaccia will be the first to go. I'm sure McManus will be gone. But next year, when the Packers have a game where they're falling apart in the fourth quarter and LaFleur is not having his best day, you're going to see a lot of people freaking out. So we'll see what happens. The extension hasn't been announced yet, and you never know in the NFL. Things can change, but I'm a little surprised to see him back, given the way things played out and given the response of the fan base. You saw the Arizona fans run Jonathan Gannon out of town. Packers can't really do it the same way, right? There's no owner, but I mean, Ed Policy he has ears, he has eyes, he sees what everyone's saying. But Green Bay also doesn't act irrationally. That's something that their franchise is known for. So if they think it's the best decision to keep LaFleur, then usually they're right on these things. But again, they haven't won a Super Bowl, 15 years? That's the Green Bay Packers. It's like I'm a Yankee fan. I'm from North Jersey. We expect to win World Series. The Packers expect to win Super Bowls. Wild card exits as the 7th seed does not cut it in Green Bay. It's going to be an interesting offseason. The final jab had to have been for Packers fans when you see Ben Johnson running out to midfield to shake LaFleur's hand and just kind of give him the quick run by. Really no acknowledgement between them. It's a nod to LaFleur's handshake with Ben Johnson after the Packers beat them in Lambeau Field. But honestly, if there's any reason to keep LaFleur, it's just to see this rivalry between Johnson and LaFleur go. It's really fun. It makes no sense why Ben Johnson just decided out thin air, like, okay, I hate Matt LaFleur. And, he's come out, he said, I don't hate Matt LaFleur or anything, but he decided just to pretty much, Ben Johnson's introduced as the Bears head coach. And at his introductory press conference, he decides to pick a fight. And Matt LaFleur seems like a nice guy, but he basically decides to pick a fight with Matt LaFleur, the coach of the team that's owned them forever, for 30 years, 40 years. I don't know how long it's been. And he comes out and he goes, yeah, I love being Matt LaFleur twice a year. That's what I love doing in Detroit. And, I saw LaFleur on Barstool was on, I think, Part of My Take. And he was just saying, I mean, I have no beef with Ben. I don't know Ben like that. People thought we were friends when he said that because you thought it was just ribbing. I know Ben Johnson just decided to go after Matt LaFleur for no reason. And you see him in the locker room after the game yelling, fuck the Packers. It's a hysterical post-game video. And I mean, it's awesome. Like it's great for football to have the Packers-Bears rivalry like this. It's surprising just to see Johnson go after LaFleur the way he has. But the story of this game easily could have been Ben Johnson's inexperience costing the Bears a playoff game and costing them an opportunity really to make a Super Bowl run as the 2 seed, especially now that the Eagles lost and you open up the path a little bit more because Philly was a team I thought could give Chicago some problems. But they're the 2 seed, right? They're going to host another playoff game. And Ben Johnson in that first half had one of the worst coaching halves that I've seen. I mean, it was just mind-bogglingly stupid to see him go for 4th and 5 from his own 32-yard line down 14-3. That was, I mean, that was as rash of a decision, as panicked of a decision as you'll see a head coach make. And it cost them, right? I mean, they didn't get it, and the Packers immediately scored to go up 21-3. And that game, right, it fell over. But you have to give credit where credit's due. He's been a motivator like this all year for them. And he came out and said, I had the team watch the Falcons and Patriots 2016 Super Bowl game, preaching it's not over till it's over. And clearly that message has got through to this team, because the script was flipped from Johnson losing the game to look what he's done to this loser organization. And look at the fire that they have. Look at the fight that they have. You know, Caleb, clutch, dynamic, smart when it matters most. And that there's an edge to this Bears team now. And that all starts, right, with Ben Johnson. I mean, it really is unbelievable the way he came in at that press conference, called out the team that's owned them, and backed up the results in round 3, beating them twice a year. Because you think about what this team was last season, right? An embarrassment. The Bears on national television were humiliated by the Commanders, where they had their players celebrating before the play. Stevenson, right? Tyreek Stevenson celebrating before the play. They allow the Hail Mary on Thanksgiving Day in front of the world, right? Or in front of the country. They give up, or they let the clock run down on them. And Eberflus looks just, like he has no clue what's happening. Caleb's frustrated. The team's yelling at each other. This offseason, Caleb is throwing tantrums at training camp, and Johnson's calling him out. I mean, it was chaos. This was an organization that was fully in disarray and has been for a really long time. And now you have Caleb Williams, especially 4th and 8, making one of the great throws you'll see in a playoff game. One of the best plays in recent Bears history. I mean, that 4th and 8 throw where he got rushed out, and as he's falling backwards, like almost in a seated position, completes the pass to, I believe it was Roma Dunze, to keep the drive alive on their first touchdown where they scored the 2-point conversion. I mean, it saved their season, and it's a play that only a handful of quarterbacks in this league can make. Like, watching Caleb Williams right now, you can tell they're on the verge of untapping something special. They're close. He still has moments where he's inaccurate, still has moments where things seem to start to be escaping him. But clearly a huge improvement this year, right? The sacks, the poor decision-making has gone way downhill. That's credit to Ben Johnson. That's credit to the staff of Chicago right now. I mean, they're turning this guy into a superstar because he clearly has a level that most guys can't get to in this league. He just does. And that 4th and 8 play was one of those. Like, there are certain plays that only a handful of guys can make when the season's on the line, and he made it. And it's something that the Bears go to the Super Bowl, it'll be played in Chicago forever. And the progression of Caleb Williams, I obviously am not in the building. I put almost all of that with Ben Johnson and the job he's done. The other team, I know that went on for a while, so again, there are chapters here. The other team that was embarrassed was the Philadelphia Eagles, because you had pretty much, I mean, going into that game, I said I was out on the 49ers completely. I still sort of am out on the 49ers because the injuries are just crippling. And George Kittle goes out in this one unfortunately ruptures his Achilles. You just wonder how many blows can this team take. The defense is decimated. No Fred Warner, no Nick Bosa, Eric Kendricks, and another linebacker. They're coming in off the street. I mean, these guys, the guys that are playing weren't on the team 2 months ago, a month ago. This is the 49ers B team. A lot of them are backups. A lot of them. I mean, I was listening to some 49er podcasts, and guys are saying, I didn't even know who was catching the football. I mean, it's McCaffrey, it's Purdy, and who else? They're all out. And they just have, I mean, Kyle Shanahan's brilliant, right? And there's only so much you can put on Shanahan before you just go, like, how can they even be winning right now with the players they have? Because as great as Shanahan is, again, when you're in the playoffs, it's best versus best. And this is not the 49ers' best. But they just have another team that is relentless, and they do not stop playing. It's unbelievable. I know the Vikings were playing with we saw it, right? We saw the Vikings with their second stringers. -3 passing yards on offense. when we had no defense, we were getting ran through. And the Niners are going into Philadelphia, a place that is so tough to win in, especially in the playoffs, and winning with their JV roster. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I know I'm not the biggest Brock Purdy fan in the world, and I don't think he had a great game, right? He had 2 really bad picks, thrown at Quinion Mitchell a couple times when you just don't have to. Quinion Mitchell's awesome, by the way. I can't believe the Eagles were able to draft Mitchell and DeJean, 2 first-team All-Pros. I mean, that's just unreal. But man, Purdy, I mean, when it mattered, he made a couple big-time throws, and he scored. He let him down the field on the touchdown drive to win the game with a bunch of backups. No George Kittle, who is, they said, the heart and soul of that team. I mean, how many teams do you know that they lose the heart and soul and come out on the road, come back win against that kind of defense? You got to give Brock Purdy credit. You got to give Shanahan credit. This is an inspired effort from the Niners across the board. It's really, really amazing what they're doing. And if they go in, what are they now? They're the 6th seed, right? So they're going to go to Seattle. I have to imagine Seattle has their way, but you can't count these guys out. I mean, they're going to be the better coach team in every game they have. On the other side of things, though, for Philadelphia, right? After everything I said about San Francisco, it feels like a fitting ending to just a truly chaotic year. Obviously, A.J. Brown was terrible. Bunch of drops, fighting with Sirianni on the sideline. He's not coming back. He's gone. I wouldn't be surprised if Nick Sirianni's gone too. I'd be a little surprised, but it would not, I wouldn't like do a double take at the television and go, wow, oh my God, I can't believe they did it. If you right now asked any Eagles fan, would you rather have Nick Sirianni or John Harbaugh? Every single one of them would say John Harbaugh. Like, what does Nick Sirianni really do? I don't know. I mean, clearly to get to and win a Super Bowl, you do some things right. And it seems like for the most part, the guys like him. But he's clearly a limiting factor of this team. If you had to say, does he bring more to the table than he? Like, no, he doesn't really. If you have John Harbaugh on that team with Vic Fangio is, he's a difference maker at defensive coordinator. Clearly, Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni are not on the offensive side of the ball. If you bring in John Harbaugh, right, and let him do his thing, bring in his guys, that's going to be a better run organization. And Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie they're not afraid to make that decision. Like this Eagles team, right, when they had a Super Bowl winning coach, Doug Peterson, not afraid to cut him loose. Drafted Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round when it did not feel like they needed a quarterback. I mean, they make decisions that improve the team, and you can't blame them for it. They usually hit. These guys are right most of the time. They draft Jalen Carter. They draft the 2 corners last year. They make moves that improve their team. It's something that every fan, as a Viking fan, I am so jealous of the Eagles. I mean, they are a really, really well-run organization. And you can't sit here and tell me if John Harbaugh said, yeah, I'd come, that the better move for the organization would not be, see you, Nick, let's bring in John. And all the success that he's had, all the cultural success that he's had in his career. Because you look up and down that roster, I mean, guys, think about the weapons on this team. It's A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert. Who is not taking that in the playoff field? I know if you're the Niners, you're taking that. Packers, you take that. I'm just running through. Bears will take that. The Seahawks take that. The Panthers take that. The Broncos take that. The Patriots trade their weapons. The Jaguars, the Steelers, the Texans, the Bills, the Chargers, maybe the Rams with Puka, Devontae, and Kyron are the one who don't trade. I mean, this is it's the Monstars. And to see the offense come out, and their offensive line, very good too. To see the offense come out against the JV defense for the 49ers and play like this, it's embarrassing. It is really embarrassing for the Eagles. It's a disaster. No excuse for not winning that football game. And you had 2 turnovers. So Kevin Patullo's got to be gone at the very least. And I think A.J. Brown will be gone, but I would not be surprised to see some big changes in Philadelphia because this team, I mean, they don't accept crap. And this was another disaster. It's just a weird, the last 4 years in Philly, Super Bowl, it blows up. Super Bowl, it blows up. Like, what is going on there? How many tries do you get at it if you're Sirianni? What really makes it stand out is they won the Super Bowl last year, and we're having this conversation now. So just keep your eye on that right now. Bizarre, really bizarre. Toyota's all in all season, bringing back another year of Toyota Game Day giveaways. Football fans will get a chance to win epic giveaways every week of the season with prizes like Brock Purdy, wildcard winner Brock Purdy's favorite, the Sequoia, NFL shop merch, and more. Head to toyota.com/NFL to learn more. That's toyota.com/NFL. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Ends February 8th, 2026. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and DC 18 and over. For complete details, how to enter, prizes, and official rules, visit www.toyotasgamedaygiveaway.com. Again, a great way to recover from these games, and it's been my strategy. Hop in your car and you just drive. Throw on some music, throw on a podcast of your favorite, perhaps your favorite podcaster for your team, lamenting the loss, and just clear your head. That's what I do. The one time, I guess this happened twice now. One was the Notre Dame playoff this year when they were left out. But I remember when Notre Dame played Clemson in 2020, and they boat raced in that game. Early fourth quarter, my whole family was here. Like, we invited cousins, aunts, and uncles, and total embarrassment. Thought we were going to get knocked out of the playoff. We only dropped to 4. But I remember in the start of the fourth quarter, we're down 30 points or whatever. And I just got up, walked out the door, got in the car, and I drove for 35 minutes in one direction. And then obviously I can't help myself from not listening to the end of the game. So I throw it on, and you have analysts saying, well, if Notre Dame scores a touchdown here and cuts the deficit to 23, maybe they'll get in. And all of a sudden I'm finding myself completely, again, I'm an emotional guy, completely bought into the moment. Like, cheering like crazy as we're down 30 on the 5-yard line to get in the end zone. We score. I'm like, yes, season saved. I don't think it would have mattered, honestly. Like, again, 24-hour rule. You think about it, it's kind of insane. But that's where I find my peacefulness is in long car rides. I have a Toyota, and it works for me. So maybe it'll work for you. The Chargers and the Patriots. Again, these games I'll probably be a little bit quicker. I know I went a long time on Packers-Bears, but who's listening to the show? The Chargers and the Patriots. New England's a really good football team, man. They're my pick to go to the Super Bowl. Drake May's going to be second in MVP voting. Vrabel's done a great job. The turnaround they had, right? Bringing in all the pieces on defense. Milton Williams, 2 sacks in this game. I was talking to my Uncle Jeff about the Raiders and their ability to turn things around quickly. If you like Fernando Mendoza and you have over $100 million to spend this offseason, there's no reason the Raiders can't be better quick, right? In a short period of time, if they nail these things, and if Mendoza pans out, and you bring in the right coach. I mean, the opportunities when you nail all of them the way the Patriots did, bring in the right free agents, you nail the coach hire, and the quarterback hits. That's going to work every single time in the NFL. Like it is just going to work, and they did a great job of nailing all 3. And here they are as the 2 seed. And they dominated that game. Now, I'm sorry. Defensively, they dominated that game. The offense clearly was a defensive showdown. And when it mattered, Drake Maye outplayed Justin Herbert at the end. Had the field goal and touchdown drive to win the game. Stayed calm. He played better than Herbert in that game. Anyone watching saw it. New England's really dangerous, man. I mean, Vrabel has these guys going. It's a good team. But the bigger story is Justin Herbert. And it's what's going on with the Chargers. And what happens in these playoff games. Because everybody says Justin Herbert is a top 10 quarterback in football. Some say he's a top 5 quarterback in football. Clearly, the physical attributes are there. I mean, he has some just spectacular highlight plays. Obviously, a very, very tough guy. I mean, he got drilled in that game. There's been a lot of games where you see him playing basically with broken ribs, and he won't come out. I mean, he is a tough dude. Really good quarterback. How many teams would take Justin Herbert right now? 20, 24, like 25 without blinking. A lot of teams would take Justin Herbert. But this is the 3rd playoff game. And this was bad. And it was the best of the bunch. The first one, you blow a 27-0 lead to the Jaguars. You're up 27-0 in the second quarter. And clearly the defense is partially to blame there, right? If you're giving up a 27-0 lead, I looked at the drive chart from that game today. It was just touchdown for Jacksonville. Chargers had a couple field goals in there. But again, 27-0. Can't blow that lead. Last year, 4 interceptions against the Texans. You lose by 20 to a 10-7 Texans team. Yeah, they had a good defense with DeMeco Ryans, but that's not like Patrick Mahomes when the Chiefs came back on the Texans in the wild card or in the divisional round, right? And they did it in a quarter. I mean, we're talking the Houston Texans there. That's one of the worst games of his career. And then in this one, Herbert, 19 for 31, 159 yards, 0 touchdowns. Ran the ball fairly well, right? 10 carries for 57 yards, but there's just no offense. There's really no highlight plays for the Chargers in this. Ironically, one of the best plays they had in the second half was when Herbert was strip sacked and Vidal picked it up and ran for 15 yards. Even on the broadcast, they said that's the biggest play they've had all half. And that was like end of the third quarter, early fourth. So there's just something going on here that I can't really put my finger on because I like Justin Herbert. I would clearly take him over my guy, but it's becoming a real narrative. What's happening in the playoffs? You have John Harbaugh. Like you have a coach who we all think can win, who he has won everywhere he's gone. It was supposed to be different this year. And the Patriots are a very good team, but I don't think they're unstoppable. They're my pick to go to the Super Bowl, but again, it's a weak playoff field, all things considered, in that there's no stud team. And the offensive line clearly hampered without Joe Alt, without Rashawn Slater. But man, that Patriots D line was not something that was supposed to be super intimidating. And that defense shut them down. There was nothing for the Chargers all game. So you talk about, the dudes with the great physical attributes. It's Herbert. It's Josh Allen, right? Those are guys that are mentioned together a lot. And Josh Allen's not someone who's lacking a playoff storyline, right? But you think about the games Josh Allen's had in the playoffs, the 13-second game. He was unbelievable. He's great in these losses. Herbert is not. Herbert is bad in these losses. And you're not getting rid of Justin Herbert. But as these storylines gain more momentum, they become more lethal. And it's in your mind now. If you're Justin Herbert, it has to be in your mind. Everyone thinks that you're going to choke in this game. And the only way to drop it is to prove them wrong. So we'll see next year. It should be a very good team again. But that storyline's not going away. Now, the other storyline's Josh Allen, right? That I said, if you ranked all the AFC storylines, because in the NFC, you have Sam Darnold shaking off the ghosts. You have the injury-riddled 49ers, the miracle seasons of the Bears and the Panthers getting in, Stafford, the MVP, maybe one last hurrah for him. Most of those storylines are kind of the same. The AFC, you have Rodgers and that last hurrah, which is a big one, but most people think they're going to lose tonight. The biggest storyline of the playoffs, by far, is Josh Allen being able to get the Super Bowl. How many times have you turned on whoever your favorite podcaster is, and they say, no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Burrow. This is the year for Josh Allen. I've said that at least 3 times. It's not original. Like I'm not some brilliant sports analyst podcaster who comes on here and says, okay, this is the year for Josh. Like, everyone can see it with their eyes. It feels like it should be their year. And then you watch this Bills team, like the rest of the team. You go like, holy crap, this team sucks. Like, outside of Josh and James Cook, there's not a lot going for the Buffalo Bills right now. It almost feels like you're watching LeBron in the 2015 Cavs when they went to the finals and played Golden State. And it was all of a sudden Matthew Dellavedova is like a legit number 2 in your eyes. You're like, whoa, okay, like if we could get 15 from Delly tonight, then maybe in addition to LeBron's 70 points, we have a shot. That's sort of how it feels like watching the Bills. It's like watching LeBron carry those Cavaliers teams, and he's just so damn good that you have to keep them in the picture. And Josh was amazing yesterday. He was just awesome. Right now, he's got to be, I said this about Burrow, right? Like months ago when he came back and was awesome. Josh Allen's the best player in football right now. Best quarterback, certainly. I don't even think it's close at the moment. His ability to carry a team, again, like LeBron-esque, is just crazy. And the throw that he made on that last drive with this narrative coming in, and you saw they had a piece on him. It was a little feature where they sat down and they asked Josh, like, what will you do if you don't make a Super Bowl? And he's basically like, or if you don't win a Super Bowl. And he's like, oh, that's like I don't know. And like you hear him say, like, Haley Steinfeld taught him that he's more than a football player. I mean, this guy's like, he's an obsessed football player, right? That's how you have to be at this level. And you have this storyline weighing down on you the same way that Herbert's going to have this storyline building on him. Josh has it even more so because he can't get past the Chiefs. Well, your team's out of the playoff picture. So this is your time. And there's 4 minutes left. They're down 3 and he has the football in his hands. And Josh Allen from, the 45-yard line or so, makes one of the great throws of his life, of his career, to Brandon Cooks down the left sideline as he's getting run over by a defensive lineman, flat-footed, flick of the wrist, 40 yards down to the 20-yard line. And, I mean, Josh was getting the crap kicked out of him all game today. You say it looked like he had a severe injury 2 or 3 times. Went to the medical tent. He makes this throw, takes the big hit, gets down 20-yard line. It might have been the 20-yard line. I'm not sure where it was. I can't even believe Brandon Cooks is on the Bills. I don't know when that happened. Obviously, then they get to the 10, 4th and 1, tush push. Unbelievable tush push, right? 10 yards on the tush push that they have to get down to the 1-yard line. They do it again in the end zone. They take the lead. Interception on the next play. Game over for Buffalo. Get the job done. It was just an iconic Josh Allen performance against a really good Jaguars team, a 13-4 team, a team that, Liam Cohen, he had those guys, he had them playing at a really high level. Trevor Lawrence is going to be 3rd in MVP voting. Unreal turnaround for the Jaguars from where they were a season ago. Like, he is a legit head coach. The same way Ben Johnson is, just because he's in Jacksonville, not in Chicago, not with the Patriots, right? Where all these first-time head coaches are having, I know Vrabel's not first time, but first time with your team, they're having all this success. Liam Cohen, if the Jaguars were in LA or New York, it would be a big story. That dude is kicking ass. And the Bills come in there with their ragtag group, led with Josh Allen, though, and get the job done. After the game, when you saw Allen speaking to the team saying, hey, we live in this moment. We're not anywhere else. We get one more chance here. There was a different look in his eyes. Like it looked, there's an intensity right now about the Bills. I think the Broncos are fucked. I think they're in a lot of trouble because the train's rolling now in Buffalo. They got that first one. And it was a game I thought they were going to lose. The Broncos had a great year. But when you have a dude like Josh Allen locked in, I don't care how good your defense is. Because I don't even think the Broncos have a solid defense, but they've been stumbling in their own right. Like, there's no reason this Bills team should go to the Super Bowl other than Josh Allen is just the best player in the world. And no one should thank him more than Sean McDermott, because the same way LaFleur's job was all of a sudden on the line and Harbaugh actually was fired, McDermott was another one of those dudes who, if they didn't get the job done, he was in a lot of trouble. Another one of the how long can you take, you don't want to say the lack of success, but the lack of winning, the big one. And he was someone who was probably going to go. Like, he was probably going to go if they lose that game. So, huge win for them. I think the Broncos are in a lot of trouble. And lastly, Rams-Panthers. I'll touch on this very quickly because it was now multiple days ago, but I thought Bryce Young played really well. He's had the 5th-year option picked up, threw the early pick, and bounced back really nicely. I thought that Bryce, and all of a sudden, Jalen Coker looked like Jerry Rice in that game, and Tet McMillan had a couple big catches. Stingy Panthers team all year. And Stafford was not his sharpest, right? I didn't think Matthew Stafford had a great game. And the Panthers have beaten the Rams before. They beat the Packers this year. I thought they were going to steamroll Carolina. And another one of those examples, right? A narrative of this playoffs is the better quarterbacks are the wild card teams. It's Stafford. It's Josh Allen, right? We thought Herbert. Who are the other ones? Maybe just the best in each conference, right? Stafford and Allen are both the wild card teams. And those teams are playing against some of the upstart teams, like the Jaguars and like, the Bears, the Packers, the Panthers, I'm sorry. I don't even know if you could call the Panthers an upstart team, really. But with the game on the line, the best quarterback in the conference had the ball in his hands, goes down the field, throws the touchdown to Parkinson, and Bryce goes four plays, no yards, game's over. And LA survives. And it's something that the rest of the NFC was probably watching that game. Right? That was the first game of the playoffs, going like, oh, come on, knock these guys out. Because they're dangerous. Puka, Devontae, Kyron, it's a very dangerous team. They've been off for the past month or so. But again, if you're Seattle, with Sam Darnold having them seemingly as his kryptonite, I know he just won, but seemingly as the kryptonite, had the Rams lost, it would have felt like game on in Seattle, like really game on in Seattle. It's already on, but now it's truly yours to lose. And the Rams get by and stay alive. So we'll see. They got to look a little sharper. They're not going to be able to win a Super Bowl, win 3 more games with that kind of performance. But this is a team that, it's very dangerous. So, all right, we'll wrap it up there. Again, long solo show, but these were really great games this weekend. So I wanted to touch on them. The big news was LaFleur for our channel, at least, right, with the Packers NFC North, was what's going to happen with LaFleur. It looks like he'll come back, and we'll have a reaction out when that happens. If it does, you never know. But I just want to thank everyone again for tuning in, and I hope, even if you're a Viking, Lion, Packer fan, whoever you root for, and if you like this channel, we're going to keep going throughout the remainder of the playoffs. We're going to the Super Bowl, so please keep tuning into the channel. Hopefully it's a fun place for you to come and spend an hour or so every couple days with the guys. We'll be back. Jack's at the game tonight, but we'll have a reaction out with Andy on Wednesday. Probably putting the finishing touches on the Packers and Vikings and everyone's season, and talking ahead to, right, the Bears are still alive here. I mean, Bears are very alive. And then we'll have predictions for the divisional round coming out later this week. Appreciate everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.